Catch the Torah wave, folks. Welcome back to our Genesis class, live from Jerusalem with the Rabbi Chaim Goldberg, and we so appreciate this. We know he was in the hospital last week visiting his son when we held the class, but he still took the time to give us a lesson. We know he's got a lot going on there in Jerusalem, but we are just so thankful that the Noahide World Center takes the time to share Torah with the nations. And as always, we're joined by many people from all around the planet in the Zoom room. People in Europe, people in South America, people in United States and Canada, and many other places. Always a joy to be with everybody. So let's just jump right in and see how the rabbis do today. Rabbi Goldberg, so good to be with you, sir. You're live, and it's your class, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good evening from Jerusalem to all of you, and blessings from Jerusalem. Good to see you all. I'm really excited every time that we are meeting, and it's so nice to see again old friends that came back. We missed you last time in the United States, you know. You didn't manage to come with all of the coronavirus. Okay, fine. Everything is good. So first of all, let me apologize for today. I know that the link didn't really work. Something happened. We had another pledge today. Hopefully we will do another 2 or 3 weeks, another pledge, so it will be okay. I don't know why it didn't work. I think that we had difficulties. I think that you've heard a bit. Yes, on the other side, we are starting this journey of giving also ideas how to have more, I will say, to be in a comfort zone and more strengthened ability to start to lead the communities and to go on to others. And also, I'm hearing myself twice. Dan, something there is wrong, maybe with me, right? Look what is happening.
Yeah, you could be getting a feedback loop on my end. I mean, here, I'll mute myself.
Okay. So we started, we sent this week a message about how to behave.
You're still getting that feedback. You're still getting that feedback, Rabbi, but it's not coming from me. So somebody else must be looping back their play.
So I'm muting everybody. Okay. Now maybe it will be better. I will close also. Okay. So we started, for example, we gave a message about how to behave as people, you know, in the families and all of those things in the days of where the Christian is celebrating all sorts of celebrations. And I must say that I was really pleased to see how people translated this to other languages also and started to spread it over. And we will continue on. We will start to send more messages and more things. So be in touch with this group of the Facebook. We are building a special group. It's not only just learning things, it's also trying to lead things. Since we have a short time tonight, so if it's okay with all of you, we will jump straight ahead to the learning side. People are asking me all the time, how can we learn the Bible in the right way? So the truth is that you must have someone that will help you to learn the Bible. And I will prepare for, I don't know if next time or the time after that, I will organize, I will show you something, how we are learning things. And then after a year or two, we can learn those things or the same script or the same wordings. And it's giving us another meaning. And because we grew up with ourselves and with the life and everything else, so it's a loop that all the time it's like a screw. Okay, that you're going on the circle on one side, on the other side, it's always going up one level and one level. So the truth is that for learning the Hebrew Bible, you need to have someone that will guide you. You can't do it by yourself and that's it. Of course, you have a lot of things that, you know, the Midrash and you have Rashi, you have a lot of ways how to, the art scroll, for example, is giving you very good ideas, the basic ideas that we have. But on the other side, it won't it's not something that you can do by yourself and that's it. Also, in the Hebrew tradition, you can't do it by yourself and that's it. So, of course, if you're not coming from the Hebrew tradition, it's much more complicated. On the other side, on Udemy, I'm giving few fundamental courses, very short courses that are very good ones. I'm inviting you to go to the Udemy to see it's 4 or 5 lessons. Maybe I need to put more lessons. I don't know. So people who have it's only the fundamental principles how to approach the Hebrew Bible, and it is really different than anything else that is being taught around the area, okay, with all of the others. So let's jump inside. Let's learn a bit from the scripture. Let me share the screen. If I remember correctly, we came already to chapter 19 in Genesis. We are jumping on. We are continuing on. Please read verses 1 and 2, and we'll start this chapter. It's a very important one also.
All right. Genesis chapter
Please,
19, Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. And the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And Lot saw and arose toward them, and he prostrated himself on his face to the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, please turn to your servant's house and stay overnight and wash your feet, and you shall arise early and go on your way. And they said, No, but we will stay overnight in the street.
Also, verse number 3 also, please. Yes.
3, and he urged them strongly, and they turned into him and came into his house. And he made them a feast, and he baked unleavened cakes, and they ate.
So what we see here basically is that Lot have, I will say, the manners that Abraham gave him. We know that Abraham, one of the things that he had is that he accepted people from, his tent was open all over the way. So everybody who came across his roads was able to go inside to his tent and to get food. We spoke about this, I think, 2 years ago. We need to remind ourselves with the thing that happened there. We said more than once that the reason why Abraham tried to teach people about faith through the food, this is what Abraham did. He gave them food, and then he asked them to acknowledge or to say thank you for God who gave them food. People who refused to say thank you for God, he asked them, he demanded them a very huge amount of money. I'm speaking about Abraham. So people were very, afraid suddenly. We don't have so much money to pay for food. He said to them, it's in the middle of the desert. Give me such amount of money. You don't want to give me this money? Not a problem. Just thank God who created this world, who gave you food. Now, why Abraham is trying to teach people through the food about a theological side. We explained this more than once. Food is something that is giving us life and is coming from outside of us. It's not coincidence that 3 times a day, minimum 2 times a day, we are eating. I don't know if you ever ask yourself why, how come we are not supposed to stand on our head for 3 times a day? Why not? Why God organized that we need to eat 3 times a day, and then we need to go to the toilets and everything else? No, and we don't need to stand on our head for 3 times. Why? Because the food is something that is teaching us. The experience of food is that we are alive because of something from outside of us. Now, there is another very important thing here in this story. When Abraham is accepting people inside his home, inside his tent, basically Abraham is doing the same thing that God has done to us. God, who, the philosophers are very smart people. I'm speaking about the philosophers in the old ancient, I'm speaking about Plato, and after him there was Aristotle. And they were very smart people. And they said, if you're saying that God, the Almighty, is everything, and he, so nothing here can be instead of him. And because we see that the world is existed, therefore God is not existed. This was a very logical understanding of them. And what we say, okay, the sages of Israel, that we got it from the prophets, and it's something that it's not in a reasonable understanding. It came to us because God appeared in front of us and said to us, this is what he did. God basically went, I will say, he withdrew himself backwards, not in a physical way, okay? It's a spiritual thing. He withdrew himself backwards and gave space to the other person, to us, to live here in this world. And this is what he is expecting from us as human beings, to behave in the same way. And when Cain and Abel can't live together because each one of them thinks that he is the only one who's supposed to be here in this world, this is the biggest failure of the human being. And Abraham is teaching people two things. First of all, he's opening his house to others. He is going backwards and giving them, come inside, feel comfortable in my place like it's your home. He is accepting people inside his tent. Second thing, he is also teaching them that as you cannot live unless you're getting something from outside of you, the food, and the same logic, this is an experience that you're feeling, and the same logic, you can't live or you can't be alive unless you're getting also the soul or something that will let you to be alive. Without, if God won't bring you to be alive, okay? Unfortunately, I said it before, but we saw last week that God decided in one moment to take life from someone very close to me. It's hard, but when you see this in front of you, you're starting to understand what is the realization of life, I will call it like that. And this is what Abraham basically did. Abraham brought people to his tents, just like God is bringing us to his world, giving us space to live here in this world. And then he's teaching them about God through the food. Lot, he was part of the family of Abraham, and he got something from Abraham. He took with himself something from Abraham, even though 4 chapters ago we decided to separate one from each other. Why did they decide to separate one from each other? I will remind you all. They said one to each other, we are like brothers, and there is a fight between our people, and if we won't get separated now, the fight will come to us and one of us is going to die. So let's get separated. It's half failure, I will call it like that. They can't live together, but they don't want to kill one each other like Cain and Abel. So they got separated. But Lot have the manners of Abraham. He got something from him. And when the people are coming to Sodom and Gomorrah, he's accepting them in his tent. He's saying in his home, he's saying to them, come inside. Now we're starting to realize why it is so hard for God to leave Sodom and Gomorrah, because Sodom and Gomorrah are against something like that. If it's okay, Dan, are you with us? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rabbi.
So please read for a moment verse number 4 and 5.
For when they had not yet retired, and the people of the city, the people of Sodom, surrounded the house, both young and old, the entire populace from every end of the city. And they called to Lot and said to him, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us and let us be intimate with them.
So we see here that Sodom and Gomorrah are against accepting others. We explained last week that there is also in Sodom and Gomorrah something that is similar to the Garden of Eden. And they felt that it's only for them and they don't need to share it with anybody else. But never mind now. This point, you can look on the lesson of last week. We see here that they are against of accepting others. And this is where God is basically saying to them, or saying to Sodom and Gomorrah, I can't accept something like that in this world. it's important. It's first of all, we see that everybody was there, but we see another very important thing. They want to intimate with them. We're speaking about men with men. It's not men with a woman. It's not. It's something that is related to the joy of themselves. It's not anything that will bring anything good to the world. And now we have something a bit weird with Lot. A bit weird. Look what is happening with Lot. Please read verses number 6, 7, and 8.
6, and Lot came out to them to the entrance, and he shut the door behind him. And he said, my brethren, please do not do evil. Behold, now I have 2 daughters who were not intimate with a man. I will bring them out to you, and do to them as you see fit. Only to these men do nothing, because they have come under the shadow of my roof.
Okay. What we see here is something a bit weird, because Lot is willing to give his 2 daughters to the city that they will rape them. Well, I don't know, it's hard to say the word rape, but that they will intimate with his daughters. Now, it's amazing because he lost the values of life. On one side, he's accepting foreigners inside to his home. On the other side, he is willing to give his daughters, to sacrifice his daughters to the city people. Something there is a bit, not 100%. How did you say, what is it? Yeah, a little messed up. Okay, something there is a bit weird. It's not on the right track. Something there with Lot is he lost it a bit. Okay, this is where we're starting to see again how Lot is not Abraham. He is something a bit else. He was supposed to say to them, nobody's going out. He was supposed to say to them, I will give you the men, do to them whatever you want to do. Okay, I will save my family. Something there is not really 100%. And here we're finding another very interesting thing. Please read verse number 9.
9 says, but they said, back away, and they said, this one came to sojourn, and he is judging. Now we will deal even worse with you than with them. And they pressed hard upon the man Lot, and they drew near to break the door.
The thing about I want to say for a moment that he was judging. One of the things that we have, I'm going back to the beginning, to the first verse, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. Okay, whenever it says that someone is sitting in the gate in the Bible, the meaning of this is that he was the judge in this day. The gate of the city was the place where people have been judged.
The court.
And so, Lot was sitting there as a judge. And this is how he saw those people coming. Now, let's remember that we said that this specific chapter and also the previous chapter, we have 3 ideas or 3 main interpretation. One of them is saying that it was all a prophet, and on the same prophet that Abraham saw, also Lot saw something. Okay. The other one is saying this is the Maimonides. This is how the Maimonides is explaining this chapter. We explained this 2 or 3 weeks ago. The second explanation is of the not the Maimonides, but Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, the Ramban. Another one is that everything here really happens. And the third explanation is that and those people were angels, real angels. And then we also see that Lot is a very high level spiritual person who can see angels. We don't know. If someone today is saying to you that he saw angels, take him to the hospital. He's a bit knocked off. But we don't have today angels. But Lot saw angels like Abraham. So this is the second explanation. And the third explanation is that Lot, that those people were prophets. Okay, this is a Ralbag. Whenever that we will take, Lot was in the spiritual level that he saw something with like Abraham, and we have here a situation where they're saying to him,
Right. Yeah.
that he was a judge. He was a judge, and they're saying to him, "Listen, we will move you aside. You're not related here to this situation." I want to remind us also something that we spoke last week with all of the things that we had, that we have here, that he begged to them. He begged to them. How do you call it? It's not a matzot. We say in Hebrew matzot.
Unleavened.
Yes, it's not. It's something that we are eating every Passover. It's a Passover time. Okay, in this day, it's a Passover for Lot. Lot is going to be rescued, while Sodom and Gomorrah are going to die, just like what happened with Israel in Passover,
Yeah.
that the Israel were rescued from the Egyptian people, and the Egyptian died in the water. So it's something a bit similar. Let's not forget that at the end of this story, we spoke about this last week. At the end of this story, the seed of the Messiah will be part of it, while in Israel also, when they're going out, we have the seed of the Messiah that is coming out for the world. So this is what we have here in the background of this story. And now we have, please read for a moment verse number 11.
11. And the men who were at the entrance of the house, they struck with blindness, both small and great, and they toiled in vain to find the entrance.
I can't understand this verse. I really can't. Think for a moment. You have people around the house. So, okay, let's say they're all blind. The only thing that they need to do is to move from one side, one next to each other, and to touch the wall until they will find the door. What is happening there? Our, how do you say, the moral people, that we have also moral understanding in the Bible. They're saying something interesting here. It says here that they were toiled in vain, okay, to find the entrance. They were, it was, they were a bit exhausted, I will call it in our words. The issue is that each one of them said, I will find it for all of the people around. I will find it. And when people didn't work together, no one really finds it, okay? We have a story. I remember that I said it to my students a lot of times. Someone died, passed over. This week I'm in the idea of someone who is passing over. You know the secret. Someone passed over and he came to heaven, speaking with God. And God is saying to him, listen, you have an opportunity. You need to decide. You want to go to the to hell, or you want to go to the Garden of Eden? What do you want to? Where do you want to be? So he said, I want to be, I want to see what is here and what is there, and then I will decide. So God said to him, okay, not a problem. So the angel who is in charge is taking him. He's going to the Garden of Eden, and he says, a lot of good food on the table. People are smiling. People are very happy. Everything is good. But the only weird thing that he sees, that people have only straight hand. Only straight hand. They can't close their hands. Straight hand.
Their elbows,
Okay.
yeah. They can't bend their elbows.
They can't bend their elbows, yeah, right. Fine. So he's saying to the angel, okay, now take me to hell. Let's see what's happening there. And he goes to hell, and he see the same thing. Tables with a lot of food. Everything is good. Everything is fine. And people are very angry there. And again, he says the same thing. People with a straight hand can't close their elbows. Okay? So he's asking the angel, what is the difference? Why? It's the same thing. What is happening here? So the angel answered him, it's very simple. No one can close their elbows, so they can't pick up the food and eat it for themselves. What do they need to do? They need to give it to their friends. In hell, no one wants to give to another one. In the Garden of Eden, everyone is giving to the other one. And this is what is happening here, okay? What is happening in verse number 11 is they didn't manage to find the door because each one of them said, I'm going to find the door. Don't bother me. And this is where they didn't manage because each one of them was selfish for himself. Again, the Sodom and Gomorrah understanding is a selfish situation. I see only myself. And this is where they didn't manage. So they went to sleep. Okay? They went away. Now we're continuing on only with Lot. Till here, I think everything is fine. Let's continue on. Let's go on verse number 12, 13, and 14, please.
Verse 13, for we are destroying this place because their cry has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went forth and spoke to his sons-in-law, the suitors of his daughters, and said, Arise, go from this place, for the Lord is destroying this city. But he seemed like a comedian in the eyes of his son-in-laws.
Just a moment, sir.
Oh, he must be an important phone call. Well, welcome everybody on YouTube and Facebook. I see we've got Farah, Elihu, Robin, and others on Facebook, and in the YouTube room, we've got our friend Cole Younger. Great, nice to see you, Cole, as always. Johnny Van Stein in Cincinnati, our friend Barbara in Germany.
Okay.
Charles also in Cincinnati, William in Kentucky, and Zakia down in Peru, and Michaela P. Over in Germany as well. Welcome, everybody.
The most important thing that you said now, Dan, that we have here, the peace of the world. You know, everybody's sitting down on the same place, and we are learning together. This is very good. I'm sorry. Okay, so we when we are reading, 12, 13, and 14, we see that on one side, God is saying to Lot that he's going to take him out. On the other side, people, in the environment of Sodom and Gomorrah, they don't believe him. They
thought he was a joke.
Yes, that it's a joke, something there is not right, or something there is not on the right place, or that he's a bit, something there is not good. Now, let's read for a moment on verse number 15. Okay?
15, and as the dawn rose, the angels pressed Lot, saying, Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you perish because of the iniquity of the city.
I want to stay for a moment on the words, as the dawn rose. Okay? In Israel, in the Hebrew Bible, when it says this thing, it is always reminding, showing, hinting, okay, to the days of the Messiah. So we have here something that is tickling, reminding, okay, hinting that we're taking Lot outside because he will be connected to the Messiah. And we know, we said it already, last week we showed it, that his daughters and Lot himself are going to grow up the nations that will continue the dynasty of the Messiah, of the Ben David Messiah. Okay, we saw that Ruth that will come from Moab, and then also Naamah that will come from Ammon, and those nations came from Lot, and they came from Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is why also Sodom and Gomorrah are so beautiful places that have the Garden of Eden, as we said last week. Okay? And God is taking him out, and read verse number 16.
Number 16, but he tarried, and the men took hold of his hand and his wife's hand and the hand of his 2 daughters out of the Lord's pity for him, and they took him out of the place and placed him outside of the city.
Why did he tarry? Why did he
Some
tarry?
people are just procrastinators, Rabbi, I guess. I don't know.
It's interesting to see that it's already, we see something similar already also with Jacob later on, when Jacob will come back to meet his brother and he will say to him, I was late till now. We see the same thing when the Hebrew people are going out from Egypt. Every time that there is, I will call it an end of the history and we need to move to the second stage or to the next stage, some people are not managing to realize the timing. I will call it like that. And they don't understand that the time have came to move to the second stage. Ask yourself about people who are supposed to be today in Israel and still in the diaspora. Why? I don't know. I have no good explanation why. Okay, the time came that we are supposed to be in the Hebrew nation in Israel, but some of them are still not here. This thing of the Tered is something that is happening along history from almost every time that the time came that we're supposed to go out from the places where we are to the next stage. So he tarried. But God is really good with him and he's taking him out, but he have one condition. And the condition is, I won't go inside now to 17, 18, and 19, okay? What exactly is the question there? I won't go inside to this, never mind. But the most important thing is, no, but I want to show for a moment. When he's saying to him that don't look, here it is, in 17. Please read 17 for a moment.
17, and it came to pass when they took them outside that he said, flee for your life, do not look behind you, and do not stand in the entire plain. Flee to the mountain lest you perish.
Why isn't he allowed to look behind him?
The big point.
Why? Why not? Look behind you, see what's happening.
Regret what you're leaving.
Yeah, no longing for the way it used to be.
Regret what you're living. Okay. When someone is looking, okay, it's a bit, I'll say it's a bit tricky, but the word here is not exactly translated right, but never mind. When the moment we will say that Abraham is looking. When someone is looking on something else, he is basically judging him from upstairs, from up there, up level, saying to himself, I can judge what is happening there. Lot, when Lot was taken out from Sodom and Gomorrah, it wasn't so much because of Lot. It was more because God remembered Abraham. And Lot was, I will say, half away or something like that. And it's written down very nice in verse number 16. Let me show you Rashi for a moment. Let me put Rashi for a moment. And let's go back to verse number 16.
Where it says took hold
No, sorry. Just a moment. Read please verse number 29.
29, and it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain that God remembered Abraham, and he sent Lot out of the midst of the destruction when he overturned the cities in which Lot had dwelt.
And please read for now Rashi also for that.
Rashi says that
First of all, it's written down very clear that God took out Lot
remembered
because he remembered Abraham. But look for a moment, Rashi here.
It's what does the remembrance of Abraham have to do with Lot? He remembered that Lot knew that Sarah was Abraham's wife, and that he had heard in Egypt that Abraham said about Sarah, "She is my sister." Yet he did not reveal the matter because he, Lot, had pity on him, Abraham. Therefore, the Holy One, blessed be he, had pity on him, from Genesis, Rabbi 51:6.
So we see here something that it's Lot had some sort of I will say relation with Abraham, and he was half good with Abraham. So this is why he saved him. But if Lot will feel comfortable looking backwards and Sodom and Gomorrah, it's showing like Lot is, I will say, strong enough to say that he can judge Sodom and Gomorrah. And if he will look backwards on Sodom and Gomorrah, it's not the right situation. So this is why they're saying to him, don't look backwards. Okay, don't look backwards. And we know that who looked backwards? Please read verse number 26.
And his wife looked from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt.
She looked backwards. Why pillar of salt? Do you know why pillar of salt? Let's see Rashi for a moment, so we'll see. Rashi is explaining this very nice.
26.
Yes, just a moment, we'll be there. Please read this one. And she became a pillar of salt.
And she became a pillar of salt. She sinned with salt, and she was punished with salt. He said to her, "Give a little salt to these guests." She replied, "Also this evil custom you wish to introduce into this place?" From Genesis, Rabbah 50, verse 4.
So when you're giving, but there's something there inside, okay? What is the meaning of salt inside the food that we are putting? There is a verse, the verse is saying like that. There's a verse that is saying, okay, let me show you for a moment where it is. We will go back to the Bible again, but we're going to see the Leviticus. I need to explain this a bit, okay? More than you. Second one. Just a moment. Please read verse number 13.
13, and you shall salt every one of your meal offering sacrifices with salt, and you shall not omit the salt of your God's covenant from being placed upon your meal offerings. You shall offer salt on all your sacrifices.
So we're saying that whenever you do any sacrifice in front of God, you need to put also salt. The salt that putting on the table is reminding us that the food is also related to, or I will call it like that the table is like, how do you call the altar? Okay, the table is like the altar, like the place where you're putting the sacrifice. It's a very holy place. You're taking things of God, okay? All the food, everything else is of God. And when you're blessing God, He is giving you permission to use it. And you are holding it. You're bringing the food to an upper stage, that it was only vegetables or maybe even animals, and you're eating it. But when you have animals and you have vegetables, there's also something that you need to bring from the earth. The salt is something that you're bringing from the earth also to become part of this thing, that everything is coming to the body of the person, of the people, and getting upper level from being, from the earth, from the vegetables, from the animals, and becoming a human being. This is the way I will call it, that we are becoming the leaders for all of the things in this world. And this is where Lot is putting also salt. You see here, the salt, how much it's important. Lot is doing the same thing. He's bringing salt to the people that he invited inside him, and she was against it. So this is why she was punished by becoming also a pillar of salt. Today we have all sorts of places that people are saying that this is a pillar of salt, of the where we can see what's her name, the Lord's wife, but she lost it. It's starting with a situation where she felt she can judge Sodom and Gomorrah. Who are you to judge Sodom and Gomorrah? This is why she looked aside. Who can judge, or I'm not sure that the word is to judge, but who can look on Sodom and Gomorrah and say, I accept, I don't accept? The one who was also part of the judge system, Abraham. Okay? Abraham, in the chapter before that, prayed and asked and debated God that he will leave, God will leave the Sodom and Gomorrah to stay alive. And when God is managing, I will call it, to deciding to wipe off Sodom and Gomorrah, so we have, please read verse number 27 and 28, 29.
27. And Abraham arose early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked over the face of Sodom and Gomorrah and over the entire face of the land of the plain. Forgive me.
Bless you.
And he saw, and behold, the smoke of the earth had risen like the smoke of a furnace.
And we know that God also remembered Lot and took him out because of Abraham. So Abraham have the ability to look on Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham was part of the court decision, okay, of Sodom and Gomorrah. He tried to move this bad decision of the court, and he didn't, or he had a debate there, and he saw that it's not, he didn't manage, and now he can look what is the outcome of what is happening, what the court decided, and he's accepting it. He's accepting Abraham, and this is basically the situation. And again, I want to explain, this is very important point. The reason why it is so hard, the situation of Sodom and Gomorrah, is because they had no intention of accepting others in their world. They had the world, like we said, the world of Garden of Eden. It was something that was very likely to Garden of Eden. This is when Lord decided to go there. And instead of sharing this world with others, to open the tent, to open the place, they closed the place, they closed their heart, they closed everything, and they didn't accept anybody else to be part of this good world that they had. And this is something that is against everything else that Abraham taught, especially after Abraham moved, and what we saw 2 chapters before that. Abraham moved from being Abram to Abraham, from being only the father of Aram, of one country, to become the father of all of the universe, or all of the people of the universe who believe in God, in one God. And he did circumcision in his body. So he moved another step, and this is where Sodom and Gomorrah is being judged. And they can't live, because now we are in a level that we believe in one God, and we can also accept others in this world. Those who are against this situation are being wiped off, and we are moving to the next stage. It's something that I said to all of us more than once. How much responsibility do we have today? When the Hebrew people came back, came back to their homeland, and people are starting to realize what is happening in this world, and that there is idolatry and all sorts of nonsense in this world. But on the other side, we're starting to open the mouth, and we see the the understanding of the Hebrew tradition that is related to all of the people of the world, how much responsibility do we have to bring the world to the next stage and not to say to ourselves, okay, we saved ourselves and that's it. This is more or less for today. If there are any questions, I have another few minutes, but you saw that I'm getting all the time also phone calls, so I'm sorry for that. Yes. People,
I
what do
think
you have to
Travis
say?
had a good one, Rabbi, on the chat. He says, does the fact that the angels rose and pressed Lot at the dawn tie in any way to the angel that wrestled with Jacob, as they both became active at dawn, wanting to go?
No, it's not. It's different things. The angel of Jacob that was fighting him was the. We will learn this. It's a bit more complicated. If you remember, we learned once about the tree of life and the tree of good and bad, and we saw that it's the same tree. Remember that?
Of course.
This? Okay. Let me surprise you for a moment. When Jacob is fighting, he's fighting against himself. Let's not forget that inside his mother's womb, there were twins, right? So Jacob have also part of Esau, and Esau have part of Jacob. I won't go inside now to the things there, but he was supposed to separate inside himself the part of Esau and the part of Jacob. So he is fighting himself. It's a different angel, it's something else. Okay? Even though they came at the same time, what is written down there, okay, with the thing of the same time, is describing the situation that we have all over the exile of Rome, what we had in the last 1800 years until the Hebrew people came back to their homeland 72 years ago. And this time, only at the end of those days, okay, there will be the separation between the Jacob side and the Esau side. And only then the Israel people will come back to their homeland. This is what it says there. This is why it says also that it was on the time of the rise of the sun. Again, rise of the sun is when the Messiah is coming. Okay. Fine. Is there any more questions?
Well, Travis had another one there in the chat. He says, is the looking back a judgment of Sodom or a judgment of the punishment that Hashem gave, which may have harmed their faith or emunah?
I'm not sure 100% that I'm 100%.
On what the question's asking.
What the question is asking. Okay. I'm saying again, maybe I need to emphasize that. The situation of looking backwards is stating, okay, I'm judging on the situation. But she wasn't on the stage. Also, Lot wasn't on the stage to judge the situation. He was part of the situation. He was part of the Sodom and Gomorrah. They decided to live in this place. And the main reason why they were going, they managed to rescue themselves, God rescued them. It was related to the situation.
It ties into the promise that Hashem had given to Abraham, those that bless you will be blessed. Yeah.
So now, how come you are allowing yourself to judge them?
Right.
It's not like Abraham was all totally outside of them. And he was part of the court who decided to demolish the Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's more related to the stage where people are standing. It's like, I will say it like that. It's like if we were today, all of us, okay, we'll start to judge the world. We can't judge the world because we are part of the world today. So we need to act in the right way, but we can't decide that we are judging the world. Okay, God will judge the world. We are part of the world. We need to work in the right way, so the world will go on to the next stage. It's a big difference of the things. Okay, so she was like judging Sodom and Gomorrah. Who are you to judge them? You're part of them. You say thank you that God rescued you because of Abraham. Don't look backwards and say to yourself, this is more or less a situation.
Excellent, Rabbi. Thank you so much. I know you got to go, Rabbi, so we have to keep it short today. But Hashem willing, are you available? Are we doing a class next week? Tentative?
Hopefully, yes. I'm a bit afraid, in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we had a few incidents that stopped us. Fine, thank you. But hopefully next week we'll be together. But I need your full things. I will send you on the message, okay? Things. Also, Netzach is not here now, right? Okay. Fine. And also the people from Germany, I'm going to do with you also something very interesting.
I'm glad to see the Murdochs with us today, Ariel and Nathan. Nice to see you folks. It's been too long.
Long time no see.
Yes, it has. Yeah, thanks, guys. It's great to be back. Good to see you all.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing. I'm not sure if anyone is listening to Torah Anytime, but there's a really exciting campaign that they're doing right now. And
yeah, I saw that email. Yeah, thanks so much.
We started a group for the B'nai Noah, so we'll put a link in the chat, but you can check it out. Exciting stuff. Thanks so much, everyone.
We will send more stuff. We organized a lot of things. We're going to send more and more stuff. Be aware.
Excellent.
So nice to see you, folks.
Okay. See you all. I need to go. I'm sorry for today.
All right. So we're going to sign out for today, folks. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we'll be back with more Genesis next Sunday, same time. Till then, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye, everybody. Bye. See you.